Hello dear readers and subscribers. Surrealism is more alive than ever. A new generation of artists has risen to prominence that go beyond the photographic image and line that was so characteristic for the TV generation and into the imaginative, the irrational, the surreal. Before having a look at the 10 selected artists for today who are occupied with surrealism in contemporary painting, let's have a look at where it started, because recently surrealism celebrated its 100th anniversary. In 1924, André Breton published his Surrealist Manifesto, which has been regarded as the symbolic start of the historical era of surrealism, which emerged most prominently in Paris and Brussels. The movement aimed to unlock the unconscious mind and explore dreams, fantasies, and irrational imagery. Deeply influenced by Freudian psychoanalysis, surrealist artists experimented with automatic drawing, dream analysis, and unusual juxtapositions to challenge conventional reality. While Salvador Dali and René Magritte painted their dreamlike visions with striking precision, Juan Miró and Max Ernst pursued more expressive and abstract approaches. In many ways, surrealism never came to an end. Think of the echoes of Magritte that can be found in the works of Marcel Broodhaers, among others, and automatic drawing and the subconscious would remain pertinent throughout the 20th century. So what makes an artwork surreal? Not only back then, but also today, one might wonder. Is an artwork surreal as soon as it depicts something that could not be photographed, that could not exist? From this perspective, religious painting from the Baroque and the Renaissance would also be considered as surreal. Or what about a formally abstracted landscape that could not exist, of course, in real life? Is this also a surreal painting? Surrealism is not only about something that goes beyond what could happen. Surrealism was also so refreshing because of its subject matter, after a focus on subjects that depicted raw reality through naturalism and realism, or more mundane subjects that were used as more formal exercises throughout Impressionism, Post-Impressionism, Cubism, etc. This started to shift with Expressionism, with Symbolism, and also with the arrival of Freudian theories. And this aspect is perhaps today more important from a contemporary angle, as surrealism is also marked by the poetry of absurd encounters, exemplified by Comte de Lautréamont's famous quote, "As beautiful as the chance encounter of a sewing machine and an umbrella on an operating table." Yet these chance encounters are not random at all. Their bizarreness is rooted in an introspective dive into the subconscious, but also in a new symbolic surreal iconography that they have constructed. This latter perspective to explore the human condition is arguably what is most important today, and which is also what distinguishes the following selected artists as surreal painters. So let's have a look how they carry forward this legacy in new and unexpected ways. Michael Boremans is a contemporary artist working across different media, but is best known for his figurative oil paintings, in which technical virtuosity meets deliberately ambiguous subject matter. Executed with the finesse of old masters, his compositions present surreal scenarios: a nude man laying flat within a mysterious red structure, faceless portraits of wrapped figures, human rockets, or cones enveloped in opulent fabrics. These works pair refined craftsmanship with an undercurrent of existential absurdity, rendered both haunting and strangely bearable through their formal beauty. Julie Curtis' work spans painting, sculpture, and gouache on paper, with a focus on female archetypes, corporality, and the surreal dimensions of modern life. Her highly stylized visual language draws from 18th and 19th century French painting, the Chicago Imagists, and pop culture, all while engaging strategies rooted in surrealism. Featuring faceless female figures and fragmented bodies, Curtis's compositions are erotically charged yet psychologically ambiguous, using motifs such as long hair, manicured nails, cigarettes, and food to explore the uncanny in the banal. Drew Dodge is a painter whose evocative compositions explore themes of identity, desire, and spiritual symbolism through a cast of part human, part canine figures. Set in moonlit deserts, ranches, mystical terrains, or by the sea, His works summon a visual world that merges tenderness with eroticism, chaos with calm, and pleasure with pain. Dodge draws upon diverse artistic traditions, from the structured compositions of European religious painting to the allegorical power of American desert mysticism, to the anthropomorphic seduction of cartoons, creating layered scenes that feel both intimate and otherworldly, truthful and surreal. Matthew Hansel's paintings merged the technical virtuosity of Dutch old masters with the visual logic of contemporary pop and digital culture, drawing the influence of artists like Hieronymus Bosch and William Calf. His meticulously rendered canvases conjure surreal worlds where classical trompe-l'oeil techniques collide with distorted comic figures, optical puzzles, and digital age aesthetics. Fascinated by the cultural shift from analog to digital, he describes his practice as a response to this transformation, remixing centuries of visual language into images that are seductive as they are disorienting. Cathy Heck is a multidisciplinary artist best known for her large-scale, vividly detailed paintings. Heck's work is marked by a bold visual hybridity. Hyper-realist detail merges with cartoon-like figuration, and references to strip culture, film, and erotica coexist with traditional painterly craftsmanship. Drawing inspiration from art history, literature, but also folklore, and her immediate surroundings, she frequently paints people from her own life, family, friends, neighbors, and herself, embedding the everyday within her complex allegorical worlds. Her works often resemble visual collages in which figures, symbols, and objects are layered into enigmatic and theatrical tableaus, creating a new and surreal entity. Now that we're halfway through our list, I briefly want to thank Squarespace for their ongoing support, which enables us to continue to create these free videos and these top lists. Squarespace was the #1 website builder from our independent survey, and therefore we have created a complete tutorial and also a template to create your artist website swiftly. So if you're interested or in need of an artist website, definitely have a look at the links in the description below. Ray Klein is a painter whose work navigates the blurry thresholds between memory and meaning, where tense atmospheres and elusive figures emerge from richly layered oil surfaces. Her oil paintings often begin with found imagery, sourced from antique shops, eBay, or thrift stores, and are built up through a careful process of layering, subtracting, and reworking. Working in a restrained, self-imposed process, she often juxtaposes smooth rendered forms with textural, gestural marks, inviting the viewer into scenes that feel both archetypal and freshly uncanny. Drawing on a vocabulary of recurring motifs, such as curtains, candles, skulls, and animals, Klein constructs enigmatic liminal spaces that evoke the surreal while remaining deeply grounded in emotional resonance. Ga-hee Park is a Korean-American painter whose vibrant, surreal domestic scenes explore the intimate terrain of desire, doubling, and psychological ambiguity. Often linked to the so-called naive aesthetic of artists like Henri Rousseau, her work deliberately unsettles with subject matter that is anything but innocent. Erotic entanglements unfold in domestic interiors, populated by ripe fruit, dead fish, and patterned fabrics, where perspectives bend and space collapses under the weight of psychological tension. Tables tilt, objects threaten to fall, and mirror-like elements replicate entire scenes with subtle distortions, as if being stuck between dream and waking life. Emily May Smith is a painter whose visually vibrant and conceptually layered works draw upon historical movements such as symbolism, surrealism, art nouveau, and pop art. With a keen sense of humor and formal precision, her paintings offer sharp commentary on contemporary themes, including gender, sexuality, capitalism, and violence. At the center of her evolving visual lexicon is an anthropomorphic broomstick figure, both a satirical self-portrait and a polyvalent symbol. At once a painter's tool, a domestic object linked to women's labor, and a phallic surrogate, the broom becomes a vehicle through which Smith reclaims art history's canonical narratives and gives form to the subjectivities often excluded from visual culture. Leo Roeg is widely regarded as one of the most influential figurative painters of his generation and is, within this list alongside Michael Boremans, one of the most important influences for this new generation of surreal painters. His richly colored, large-scale canvases unfold as visual dramas, populated by invented characters, objects, and settings that are at once familiar and enigmatic. Combining elements of realism with dreamlike distortions, his works often present overlapping spaces and incongruous motifs, suggesting broader narratives and histories, while resisting fixed interpretation. His distinctive visual language has shaped contemporary figurative painting and continues to exert an enduring influence, exemplified by this renaissance of imaginative, colorful and surreal painting. Ambera Wellman is a painter whose work explores the fluid boundaries between bodies, identities and histories. Constructed from layered wet oil paint, her compositions often depict indeterminate human and animal forms, merging ecstasy and extremity in spaces where the rational and the impossible coexist. Describing her approach as a form of painterly catachresis, Wellman creates pictorial worlds in which contradictions, spatial, temporal or bodily, remain unresolved, yet formally coherent. Her practice draws from diverse sources ranging from art historical traditions of the Renaissance and Baroque to digital imagery and everyday observation. In her paintings, figures, species and temporalities intermingle, dissolving fixed boundaries to reveal painting as a site of transformation and intimacy. Thank you so much for tuning in today. Feel free to discover more articles, more top lists at contemporaryartissue.com or watch our previous video discussing 20 watercolor artists working today next. Support us on Patreon and please consider subscribing to stay posted for more contemporary art. Bye.